So today I wanted to talk about how to deal with negativity. In our school system, we learn about all sorts of things about ancient Greek wars, about distant places that we will probably never visit, and we are taught certain mathematical formulas that most of us, 90% of us, will never ever use in our lifetime. Yet rarely are we taught how to deal with something, the simple facts of life, and one of them is how to deal with negativity. And the reason why I came up with this topic is because 3 days ago I woke up and just feeling terrible. I had been meaning to do this video earlier, but the house has been a little bit noisy. People come and go, which is a wonderful thing, so I never got a chance. And that's what I'm trying to do today. So 3 days ago I woke up and I felt just wretched. Sometimes we'll wake up and we haven't had enough sleep, or someone told us something that messed with our heads, and we're in a bad mood and feeling negative. But there are other times where we feel this deep, deep negativity arising from within us, which is a sure sign to look within and see what's going on. And that was one of those days. So when I get up in the morning, I just felt just absolutely terrible. Just wretched is the right word, I think. And a few years ago, I would have just ignored it or tried to bulldoze my way through it and just ignore it or just try to override it, which is very common in our culture, right? Most of us, we just make something to eat to get rid of that negative feeling. We watch television, or we just scroll through the internet or Instagram, try to override that negative feeling. And to a large extent in our society, if you listen to motivational speakers all over YouTube, we are told that these negativities are for weakness, is a form of weakness, and we need to override it, and we should never feel that way. And it gives you the impression that we have to walk through life with a fake smile fixed on our faces, which is a very, very bad thing. That doesn't work that way. The more we fight these negative feelings, the more they will go away, but they will go into the underground, and they will pop up even stronger than before. So instead of running away from it, which I was very much tempted to do, I just sat down and I have a routine. In the morning when I have my coffee, I take my time and I do journal. I pace back and forth, and really, when I wake up, I try to see what feeling I wake up with and what it brings. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes it's terrible. But either way, I think all of those feelings are really a gift. And I'm here to say that we have to work with these negative feelings. They're actually a good thing. Those negative feelings that arise are a good thing. I remember many, many years ago, I was severely depressed. It was late teens to early 20s when I was in Toronto by myself, alone in a big, big world. And I was carrying a lot of trauma. But at that time, I was very depressed. And I remember I had a wonderful young doctor who just referred me to one person after another. And they would all say the same thing. They're like, you know what? You'll listen, they say, we have depression. There's an imbalance of chemicals in your brain, which I'm not sure they don't do that anymore. So that's why we have to bring up your imbalance in your brain, because that's what causes depression or negative feelings. And they put me a lot of different stuff, and it never worked. And it's clear why it never worked. But none of those would sit and say, you know what, you're a young man with raging hormones. Do you have a girlfriend? Are you social? Do you have friends? What do you eat? Do you work out? And then instead of digging deeper into the issues, they would just say, yeah, you have an imbalance of chemicals that do it. And I remember one time the doctor said, there's this amazing guy, he's the head of a psych department in this famous hospital. He were on a wait list, he's gonna come and see you, blah, blah, blah. And the guy himself looked very depressed. And he listened and said, oh yeah, there's a chemical imbalance, usually from your parents. It might be genetics, it might not be. And we're going to give you lithium. But make sure you don't eat any old cheese because it can kill you. And I said, well, sure. I'm just pointing out that in our society, quite often, we have the opposite approach. And any society really, it's not just our society. We are told to run away from negativity or to ignore it, to override it, or it's not good, but it actually can be a good thing. They're really, if you do your work properly, that negativity is really a good thing, is a valuable thing. Historically, if you read the New Testament, the Old Testament, all of those, or even Rumi's poems, or John of the Cross, you hear that yearning, you hear that pain, you hear that suffering, but they're aware of it and has a purpose in it. So I sat down and while I had my coffee, I practiced what is called tuning in, as my current teacher is teaching. So I just basically tune into the feeling of negativity, this wretchedness, this terrible, terrifying to some extent feeling inside of me that was shaking me at that moment to the core. And I tuned into it and I sat with that discomfort for a few minutes, and I had my coffee and I just tried to tune in to see what it is. And I paced around again, and another good tool of it that we can use is journaling. Just basically being mindful of how our day goes, how our week goes, and really journaling about it. What did we do? What we did not do? And how it affects our moods, feelings, day, really. So I did some journaling as well. As I was sitting, I realized that the 5 to 7 days before that day when I woke up not feeling good, I actually was going through a resistance in my practice. So the week prior, 10 days prior to that, my meditation practice was going great, really. It was very, very good and deepening. And then one day I had this resistance where I finished my first session. The second session I struggled with halfway and I just couldn't do it. So for at least 5 days, and that's one of the gifts of journaling, for at least 5 days I did not meditate at all. I could not bring myself to meditation. Yet I was working with resistance nonstop, day and night. I was just thinking, how can I override, I was dealing with that negativity that was present, that had come out through my meditation. And while it looks like I was not doing meditation, I actually was progressing, because the more I work with this feeling of resistance, and it was a form of helplessness in my path, and that it did not want to go further in my meditation practice for good reasons, and that's a different topic. But I was sitting down and tuning in to that negativity. I remember that 7 days prior, I was going through that resistance, and 2 days prior, waking up feeling negative, I actually had some clarity 2 or 3 nights before, and I felt great. I finally reached clarity of what that resistance was and how to, what's the right word? How to release it, really. And I felt great. 2 days before waking up, I felt amazing. I just was filled with energy and hope, and my mood was very happy. But after that, instead of using that energy towards my meditation, I drifted off and I started making goals in the world that, while they're important, they're not as prioritized of my practice. My practice is the most important thing for me. They say in Zen Buddhism that the greatest gift that you can give to the world is your practice, and it is very much true. I can say it on myself, on my community, on my family, at work, everything. Really, your practice with yourself is the greatest gift that you can give. And 2 days prior to that, I was feeling very happy and I was energized because I had overcome this resistance at that moment in my meditation. I was filled with this energy, this rewarding energy and upliftment and clarity of mind. The first day was amazing. The second day was amazing till the evening. Then that negativity sort of peeked through and I wasn't sure what it is. And when I went to bed and I woke up feeling very negative. So to make a long story short, I found out that negativity was because I had neglected my path. For a day and a half or 2 days, I was filled with joy and energy. I was making goals, which is wonderful. But the priority for me was to go deeper in my meditation, practice of meditation. There's no buts and if for it. We all have our own priorities. We could be of our own parents, we could be one of artists, could be of a religious activity. But for me at that moment, what my core of my being needed and wanted was to go deeper in my meditation. And for about a short time I neglected it, and that negativity arose in me, or at least that's my understanding of it. And as soon as I realized it, it kind of went away to a great extent. It was not nearly as bad. I understood where I had gone wrong, and I redirected my course of action and day, and that really helped. So I realized that I was going the wrong way, and I redeemed myself. And the last 2 or 3 days have been quite wonderful because I've been really focused on both my practice and my plans in the future, how to improve on my practice and really dedicate myself to it, financially and otherwise, to keep my practice. And it's been just wonderful. So everybody's story is obviously unique. Your needs, your priorities are completely different by mine. But I'm just dealing with this importance of dealing with this negativity. This negativity, as difficult as it felt at that moment when I woke up, and for the next 2 or 3 hours after that, it was really in reality as a gift because it was telling me that I was going the wrong way, that in the future that's not the right way to go. And in hindsight, I wish that negativity, that pain was 3 or 4 times stronger if I could take it. I'm jesting on this point, but it is nevertheless true that the negativity that I felt that was just like so terrible was actually a gift, telling me that I'm going the wrong way. For me personally, everybody's different. The point that I'm making is that we have to work with this negativity. This negativity is not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to run away from. The more we run away from it, the worse it gets. There is a wonderful book that in my community we used to read all together, and a lady gifted me that book. I remember, it's an interesting story. It's called The Book of Nirvana. This wonderful lady, when I was at college, Anne was her name, she gifted me this hand-copied, beautiful copy of Book of Nirvana with some side notes. And it turned out a member of our community had actually the original book. And there's a chapter on it in that book called, I believe, on Judgment Day, and it says that every day is a judgment day, from moment to moment. As you sow, so shall you reap. And it has one paragraph that really describes my experience, which says that some days you wake up and you're just feeling amazed. Some days you just wake up, you think that the world has turned against you, but all those things are really part of you. I'm paraphrasing here. And it said that it's just those negativities are really like debt collectors that want to come and get something that you owe them. So I thought that was a beautiful imaginary image to have in mind. And those negativities can guide us. Some days we'll wake up, we're feeling good, amazing. Some days we're not. And while the world is always changing, while the world is not, this life is not always easy, there's a difference between temporary suffering, and there is a difference between temporary suffering, and there is temporary suffering. Let me start again. Sometimes we're just having a bad day. I have bad days. Other people have bad days. We'll wake up, we didn't sleep well, we didn't eat well, and we're just miserable. That's one thing. But there are other times that this deep sense of negativity from within visits us. And if we don't deal with it, it can last many days, many months, many years. So for some people, a lifetime, really. That's how difficult it is. So the purpose of this video is to say we have to work with this negativity, and at times, in the right, if we do the inner work, those negativities are the things we look for. Those are the moments, those are like gifts, those are the things that we cherish. Because they point to something deeper, right? And we have to be open to him. And journaling, again, is a great tool. Journaling, not writing really. You can write a lot or you can write a little, but you want to have an outlay of your day, what you've done, how you feel, and it's down the road we can correlate those two different things. Why is it that when we eat healthy, we work out, we have good sleep, we have our meditation practice or any other kind of practice, we're surrounded by people we love and love us, reading good books, we just feel great. And other times we don't eat healthy, we don't sleep well, we lack purpose maybe in our week, and then we feel terrible. There is a strong correlation. There, of course, are things that are out of control. There are wars raging in the world. That's a terrible thing, and this is way beyond our control. But there are many, many things that are still within our control. So yeah, there's a saying that I really like, and it says turning shit into sugar. I think this is a more slang term of turning manure into sugar canes, but that's a whole different thing. And I remember we had a Sufi teacher many years ago when my teacher was still alive. What was his name? Sharif Baba, I think it is. I don't know if he's still alive or not, to be honest. But he was a wonderful man from Turkey, and he spoke no English, but he had a Turkish-American student who was his attendant, and he spoke obviously fluent English. And he was a lovely human being with a twinkle in his eyes. You know, when someone is enlightened, they have this twinkle in their eyes. And we had a meeting, and my teacher was talking to him, and at one point, he was open to questions from the people present, and someone asked him something. I don't remember what it was, but it was something about not feeling good enough or some sort of negativity. And I'll never forget, this beautiful human being said, very patiently and joyfully says, you know what? You people here have a lot of roses. They're very beautiful, but they don't smell. They have no scent. What's the purpose of a rose if it doesn't smell good? I said, do you know why it is? And the person asking me questions like, no. I said, well, in Turkey, and I'm paraphrasing here, it says in Turkey, we have beautiful roses that smell like heaven. And the reason why we have it, and I quote him correctly here, it says we have human waste. We feed them with human waste, and roses turn that human waste into this amazing scent that is uncomparable to anything else. So basically what he was saying to this student indirectly is like, you have to appreciate your bad side. You have to appreciate those uncomfortable, undesirable things in our lives, because they serve a purpose. So these feelings of negativity that we feel, when we work with them, they will turn to joy and happiness. I'm not that depressed guy from many, many years ago. I'm not suicidal like I was for those 4 years in Toronto. And I have done the work, and there are many, many others as well. So I'm here to say that negativity, dealing with that negativity, and one very important point is practice is just tuning in to it, as my current teacher explains. A wonderful, powerful means of dealing with this negativity. You receive that negativity as a gift, literally as a gift. You sit with it and says, what does it mean? You don't even think about it in words or intellectual ways, but just tune into it and we'll give you the message. And that book, the Book of Nirvana, I would highly recommend. It's a very, very powerful book, and that chapter explains exactly some aspects of what I'm saying today. I'm more focusing on the methodology of it, And that chapter talks about the foundations of how to deal with negativity, really. So yeah, turning shit into sugar. This life is not always easy, but the more we work with our feelings, our thoughts, including negativity that arises, the better it will get. I assure you on that. Anyways, I had a nap. My coffee is ready, and I'm gonna have some coffee and sit down for some meditation. And I figured I'll do this quick video for you. I hope this video was useful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below and I will respond. I hope this video was useful. I hope your day is unfolding beautifully. I hope your week is unfolding beautifully. And I hope that you will be blessed and guided in your journey in this life. Amen to that.